Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're tackling a really important topic, California's fight against hate crimes.
Yeah, it's a really timely issue.
It is. And we'll be focusing on their California versus Hate campaign, which aims to raise awareness about this issue, but also provide support for victims and promote inclusivity across the state.
A really ambitious goal.
It is. And thankfully, we've got a bunch of articles here that dive into all different sides of this campaign,
hmm
from what's happening on the ground in local communities to statewide initiatives.
So we're really going to get the full picture.
Exactly. We're going to be uncovering some really inspiring stories today, but also some kind of sobering statistics.
Yeah, hate crimes are unfortunately a growing problem.
They are. And so we really want to take a hard look at how California is trying to tackle this problem head on. So why don't we kick things off with a story about the power of grassroots action,
hmm
on the local level.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so we've got this really fascinating article about Bakersfield, specifically a group called Community Interventions, CI for short. And they're leading a campaign called Stop the Hate, which is specifically focused on youth.
That makes sense.
They're often the most vulnerable to hate crimes, unfortunately,
Yeah.
but they're also the key to creating lasting change.
I agree completely. Empowering young people to recognize and stand up to hate is crucial.
Exactly. And what I found so inspiring about CI is that they're not just, preaching kids about not hating. They're taking a much more kind of nuanced approach.
How so?
Well, they're providing education. They're giving young people the resources they need to report hate crimes and even creating platforms for these young voices to be heard, by adults, by people in positions of power.
That's fantastic, giving them agency.
Exactly. And one really cool example of this is a skate park mural they're working on. Just imagine this vibrant piece of art right smack in the middle of the community with this message, skate, not hate, splashed across it. It's such a powerful visual reminder that hate has no place there.
I love that. It's engaging and it gets the message across in a way that resonates with young people.
Right. It's not just about telling them what to do, but it's about creating this environment where they feel empowered to reject hate. But I am curious, what kind of real-world impact is CI actually seeing? Like, are these initiatives actually translating into, a reduction in hate crimes among young people?
Yeah, I'd be interested to know that too.
Well, the article mentions that CI actively tracks reports of hate incidents, and they have noticed an increase in reporting since launching this Stop the Hate campaign. So that suggests that at least young people are becoming more aware of what constitutes a hate crime, and they're feeling more comfortable coming forward.
That's a good sign. Increased reporting could indicate that more people feel empowered to speak out against hate, which is crucial for holding perpetrators accountable.
Right. But CI also acknowledges that we need more comprehensive data, more long-term studies to really fully understand the impact of their work. It's not just about anecdotes. We need the hard numbers to back it up.
Absolutely. It's crucial to have both qualitative and quantitative data to assess the effectiveness of these programs and see how they can be improved.
Totally. So we've seen how grassroots organizations like CI are tackling hate at the community level, in Bakersfield. But let's kind of zoom out a bit now and look at how California is amplifying the voices of diverse communities on a larger scale.
Okay.
So we came across this article about the annual Ethnic Media Conference, which was held in Sacramento this year.
I've heard of that. It's a big deal, right?
It is. And you might be surprised to learn just how important ethnic media is, especially when it comes to reaching those who are often overlooked by mainstream media.
I can imagine. Think about trying to navigate a new country without access to information in your own language. Ethnic media fills a really important gap.
Exactly. And that's exactly what this conference is all about, giving a platform to those diverse voices. And this year, it wasn't just journalists who...
Oh, really?
Yeah, there were state officials. There were even representatives from Google, which shows that people are starting to recognize just how crucial ethnic media is, especially when it comes to things like hate crimes.
Yeah, I mean, think about the role that media plays in shaping our understanding of these issues. Ethnic media provides a different perspective, one that's often missing from mainstream coverage.
And a more accurate perspective sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. So it's really encouraging to see that this conference is bringing together such a diverse group of people to discuss these crucial issues.
Yeah. And one of the key themes that kept coming up was the importance of combating misinformation, and promoting accurate reporting.
That's so crucial, especially in today's world where misinformation spreads so quickly online.
It's like a wildfire sometimes.
Yeah.
And ethnic media plays a vital role in fact-checking and providing reliable information to their communities.
Yeah.
But we also have to face some some hard truths here. We've got all these positive efforts happening, all these inspiring stories, but there's also this sobering reality that hate crimes are on the rise in California.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there was a recent report that came out from LA County, and it revealed a 45% increase in hate crimes in 2023. That's the highest number they've ever recorded.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. But is this due to an actual increase in incidents, or is it because more people are reporting these crimes now because of initiatives like LA versus hate?
It's hard to say for sure. The report itself acknowledges that increased reporting is definitely a factor, you know.
Mhm.
But experts also believe that there's a genuine increase in hate-motivated incidents happening.
Right. It's likely a combination of both factors. Increased awareness and reporting are positive developments, but we also have to acknowledge the possibility that hate is becoming more prevalent in our society.
And you can't ignore the impact that the current political climate is having, right?
Yeah.
All this divisive rhetoric, all this hate speech that's being amplified online, is creating this really toxic environment where discrimination and violence can thrive.
It's like a breeding ground for hate. And we
Yeah.
can't just blame politics either. There are these deeper societal issues like systemic racism and prejudice that have been festering for generations. These things don't just disappear overnight.
They don't. And it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of uncomfortable conversations to really address these root causes.
Yeah.
But okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about something a little more hopeful. United Against Hate Week. Have you heard of this initiative?
I have. It's a statewide event, right? Aimed at bringing people together and celebrating diversity.
Exactly. And this year's LUNC event was held in Los Angeles, and it was amazing. There were cultural performances, community testimonials, even local leaders giving these powerful calls to action. It was a real celebration of unity and resilience.
It sounds really inspiring.
It was. One of the highlights for me was the performance by the Chumash Cultural Collective. They brought such vibrant energy to the stage, sharing their heritage through song and dance.
I love that. Celebrating culture and diversity through the arts is so powerful.
It is. And it serves as this really powerful counter-narrative to hate, right? It reminds us that our differences are what make us strong, not what divides us.
Absolutely. It's about celebrating our shared humanity, even in the face of those who seek to divide us. But you mentioned something about community testimonials earlier. Was there any story that particularly resonated with you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So there was this young person named Frankie Aguirre, and they shared their own personal experience with hate, talking about the years of harassment they endured and how they chose to fight back.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really powerful. Frankie chose to channel their pain into advocacy. You know, they're speaking out, they're spreading awareness, and they're promoting love over hate. Just such a testament to the strength of the human spirit.
It's incredible to see young people like Frankie stepping up and demanding change. Their energy and their passion are so contagious, and we need more of that in the world. It's a reminder that even small actions can create a ripple effect and contribute to a more just and inclusive society. We've seen these inspiring stories of community action and statewide initiatives, but we also have to face the reality of those rising hate crime numbers. Where do we go from here? How do we turn this awareness into meaningful change?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's easy to feel overwhelmed, but it's important to remember that each of us has a role to play in this fight.
Absolutely. And I think that's a perfect segue into our next topic, the crucial role of reporting in combating hate crimes and supporting victims.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork here with these inspiring stories, but we've also glimpsed some of the challenges that California is facing. So now let's really dive deep into how individuals can make a tangible difference, starting with the power of reporting. Welcome back. So before the break, we were talking about individual action making a difference, and that leads us perfectly into the role of reporting when it comes to these hate crimes.
Absolutely.
You might be thinking, well, I'm not a journalist. What can I really do?
Right.
But reporting these hate incidents, it's not just about statistics. It's about empowering those victims. It's about making it clear that this hate won't be tolerated in our communities.
I couldn't agree more. Reporting these incidents can feel like a small action, but it has huge ripple effects. And thankfully, initiatives like LA versus hate, they're making it easier than ever before for victims to actually come forward.
So how does that work?
Well, they've got this really user-friendly system where you can actually report hate crimes online, or you can call 211. It's really straightforward, no complicated paperwork. You don't have to go to a police station, anything like that. It's just this safe and accessible way to share what happened and get the support you need.
That's amazing. So simple.
Yeah, it is.
But, some people might argue that this increase in reporting, it doesn't necessarily reflect a rise in actual incidents. It's just that more people are aware. and they're more willing to come forward.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that's a valid point, and I think it's important to consider all perspectives. But we can't dismiss the experiences of those who are being targeted by hate just because reporting has gone up.
Right.
And, the data that we get from these reports that can really help us understand, how big this problem really is and what types of hate crimes are most common.
The specifics.
Exactly. And that can help us come up with more effective strategies,
Right.
for prevention. So I think it's important to look at it from both sides. We have to
Yeah.
acknowledge that increased awareness and reporting are positive things, but we also can't ignore the very real lived experiences of victims.
Right.
And, LA versus hate, they seem to be making a real difference. I read that over 3,600 reports have been filed through their system since it was launched back in 2018.
Wow, that's incredible. So many voices that might have gone unheard otherwise.
Exactly, and that's just in LA County. Think about the impact it's having statewide. The California versus Hate campaign is working to expand these types of reporting systems across California so that no matter where you are, if you're a victim of a hate crime, you have a safe and easy way to report it.
And it sounds like LA versus Hate, they're not just, collecting data, they're also actually committed to supporting those victims in, their healing process. What exactly does that look like?
Well, they offer a whole range of services that are tailored to the needs of each individual. So, it could include things like mental health counseling, to help people cope with the trauma of the experience.
Mhm.
Or it might be legal aid if they need to navigate the justice system. They even offer financial assistance.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, financial assistance for relocation if it's necessary, to ensure the victim's safety. And they also connect victims with community resources and support groups so that they don't feel so isolated.
So it's creating a community.
Exactly. A network of people who understand what they're going through. It's about taking a holistic approach. Really, addressing the immediate needs of the victims, but also working towards this long-term goal of preventing these hate crimes from happening in the first place.
It's giving people the tools and the resources they need to heal and to move forward, but it's also sending this really powerful message that they're not alone.
Exactly. And, using this data that's collected through reporting it can help identify patterns and trends, which can then help inform targeted interventions and educational campaigns.
So it's prevention in a way.
Exactly. Prevention through data. So, for example, if reports start to show, a certain area having a rise in hate crimes against a particular community resources can then be directed to, outreach and education specifically in that community.
It's about being proactive instead of reactive.
Exactly. It's about being smart and strategic in our approach.
Okay, so reporting is one important piece of this puzzle.
It is.
But prevention also involves, creating this culture where hate is just not tolerated.
Absolutely.
So what does that actually look like?
Well, I think education is a big part of it.
Yeah.
And, I'm not just talking about formal education in schools, although that's important, but it's about being willing to learn about different cultures, about different religions and identities. It's about challenging those biases and assumptions that we all have and actively seeking out diverse perspectives.
It's about opening our minds, really.
Exactly. And, being open to having those difficult conversations with people who might have different views than our own. It's not always easy, but it's so important.
It can be challenging.
It can, but it's those conversations that can actually lead to greater understanding and empathy. And, you might even learn something new about yourself in the process.
You never know.
But, education and dialogue are just the first steps. We also need to be willing to take action when we see injustice happening around us. And we talked earlier about being an active bystander, but it's worth repeating how powerful that can be.
So can you remind us what exactly that means?
Yeah, sure. It means not just standing by, if you see someone being harassed or discriminated against. It means speaking up, intervening, and showing support for the victim. I know it can be scary sometimes, stepping into those situations, but even a small act of courage can make a huge difference.
And, you don't always have to confront the person directly. There are other ways to intervene, like distracting them or, documenting what's happening or even just offering support to the victim afterward. It's about sending a message that, hate is not okay.
Exactly. And it can make the victim feel less alone, in that moment. Sometimes just knowing that someone cares can make a world of difference.
Right. So we've talked about education dialogue being an active bystander. Is there anything else we can do?
Well, supporting those organizations that are actually working to combat hate and to promote inclusion, that's another really impactful action. Volunteer, donate, or simply spread the word about their work.
So find an organization that speaks to you.
Exactly. And use your skills and resources to amplify their message. And, let's not forget about the importance of celebrating diversity. I mean, California is such a melting pot of cultures and backgrounds and perspectives, and I think sometimes we take that for granted.
We do.
Instead of viewing our differences as something that divides us, we should really be celebrating them.
It's about recognizing that our differences actually make us stronger and more vibrant as a society.
Exactly. And building bridges, not walls, fostering understanding and empathy, and working together to create a California where everyone feels safe and respected and valued.
That's a beautiful vision. So we've explored a lot today,
Yeah.
from those grassroots efforts in Bakersfield to the statewide initiatives and those individual actions that we can all take. But where do we go from here? What's next in this fight against hate?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it?
Welcome back to our deep dive into California's fight against hate. Before the break, we were talking about where we go from here and all the amazing work being done, but it can feel overwhelming, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's easy to feel like, what difference can I really make, with a problem as big and complex as hate? But every act of unity, every act of allyship, no matter how small it may seem, it really does contribute to a more just and inclusive world.
So let's break down some of those seemingly small but impactful actions that we can take in our everyday lives.
Yeah.
We touched on, being mindful of the language that we use and challenging hateful rhetoric whenever we encounter it, but where else can we start?
Well, education is a big one. And I'm not just talking about, formal education in schools, although that's certainly important too. I'm talking about being willing to learn about different cultures, different religions, different identities. It's about challenging our own biases and assumptions, those preconceived notions that we all have, and actively seeking out diverse perspectives.
It's like stepping outside our comfort zones and really engaging with the world around us with all its complexities.
Exactly. And, that can be uncomfortable at times, but it's in that discomfort that we often learn and grow the most.
But how do we approach those difficult conversations, with people who might have completely different views than our own? Those can be tricky.
Oh, they definitely can be. But I think it starts with listening, really listening, not just waiting for your turn to speak, but truly trying to understand where the other person is coming from, even if you don't agree with them at all. And it's okay to disagree respectfully. We don't have to convince everyone to see the world exactly as we do, but we can strive to create a space for dialogue and understanding.
And sometimes just having those conversations, even if they're challenging, can plant seeds of empathy and understanding.
Exactly. It can open up a whole new way of seeing things, both for you and for the person you're talking to.
So education is key. Those difficult conversations are important. And what about being an active bystander? We talked about that before the break. But can we dive a little deeper into what that actually looks like in practice?
Absolutely. So being an active bystander means not just standing by if you see someone being harassed or discriminated against. It means speaking up, intervening, and showing support for the victim. I know that can be really scary, especially if you're not sure how to do it safely, but even a small act of courage can make a huge difference.
So what are some ways to intervene safely?
Yeah, so first and foremost, your safety is always the top priority. Never put yourself in a situation where you feel physically threatened. But there are often ways to intervene without directly confronting the perpetrator. You could try distracting them. You could document the incident. Take a video or a photo if it's safe to do so. Or simply offer support to the victim afterward. Even just asking them if they're okay can make a big difference.
It's about showing the victim
Yeah.
that they're not alone.
Yeah.
That someone sees what's happening and cares.
Right. And, it also sends a message to the perpetrator that their behavior is not acceptable. It disrupts that cycle of hate, and it shows that there are people who are willing to stand up against it.
So we've talked about education dialogue, active bystanding. What else can we do to contribute to this fight?
Well, we've talked about supporting organizations like community interventions, but, there are so many amazing groups out there doing really incredible work across California, advocating for marginalized communities, promoting tolerance, providing resources to victims of hate crimes. So, find an organization that speaks to you, volunteer your time, donate to their cause, or just spread the word about their work, on social media, or just talking to your friends and family. Every little bit helps.
Right. Find your passion and use your skills to make a difference.
Exactly. And let's not forget about the importance of celebrating our diversity. California is such a vibrant tapestry of cultures, backgrounds, perspectives. And instead of letting those differences divide us, we should really be embracing them as strengths.
It's about recognizing that our differences actually make us stronger, more vibrant, more resilient as a society.
Exactly. It's about building bridges, not walls. It's about fostering understanding and empathy. And it's about working together, to create a California where everyone truly feels safe, respected, and valued.
It's a beautiful vision and one that I think we can all strive for. So as we wrap up this deep dive into California's fight against hate, I really hope you're feeling both informed and empowered. We've explored the challenges, we've heard those inspiring stories, and we've talked about some concrete actions that we can all take to really make a difference.
And remember, this fight against hate, it's an ongoing journey. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And there's no one right way to contribute. Every act of kindness, every conversation, every moment of standing up for what's right, it all makes a difference.
So as we sign off today, I want to leave you with this question. What will you do to contribute to the fight against hate? Think about it. And remember, even small actions can have a big impact. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we hope you'll continue to explore these issues, engage in your communities, and do your part to build a more just and inclusive world. Until next time, keep diving deep.